Today on Wildlife Nation, Expedition Florida, we're on the trail of the elusive Burmese python, an incredibly invasive species threatening this imperiled ecosystem. First, we take part in a groundbreaking project.
You can see how big she is.
Next, in collaboration with the Miccosukee tribe, we venture into the surrounding habitat with a specifically trained dog to hunt these invasive pythons.
You ready to hunt? Let's go. Find it. Find it.
I'm Jeff Corwin. Wildlife Nation is dedicated to conserving the natural wonders of North America. And now, we're teaming up with the Miccosukee tribe of Indians of Florida to safeguard the vibrant wilderness of the Sunshine State. We'll explore this region's diverse landscapes and extraordinary creatures as we work alongside the passionate conservationists dedicated to protecting them. This is Wildlife Nation, Expedition Florida. The Everglades, 1.5 million acres of wetlands on the southern tip of Florida, made up of coastal mangroves, sawgrass marshes, and pine flatwoods. The Everglades are home to hundreds of animal species, but a threat to this native wildlife lies just beneath the water's surface, the invasive Burmese python. And that's just what we're here to find and capture.
All right, we have a really strong signal right here.
Right here.
Right here.
It just goes to show you how hard it is to find these snakes. We're in this vast river of grass, and somewhere directly beneath us is a giant leviathan of a serpent.
Invasive Burmese pythons are almost perfectly adapted for the Everglades, and they've established an immensely successful breeding population. Severe mammal declines have been linked to their arrival. Raccoons, possums, bobcats, and even deer have dropped over 90%. Rabbits and foxes have effectively disappeared.
And she's got to be right underneath all of this hydrilla right here.
We're not just looking for any python. This snake has been previously implanted with 2 VHF tags, so we can hone in on her exact location by the signal she is emitting.
And she's moving.
She's moving?
Here we go. This way over here.
She's not
now.
even moving the vegetation.
Nope.
That
Completely
is-
silent.
That is crazy.
You can't even tell she's moving.
So if it's this hard to catch a python with transmitters on it, how hard is it to catch one that's completely wild?
Wildlife researchers Brandon Welty and Dr. Melissa Miller have been keeping tabs on this particular snake for the last 5 months. This serpent is a part of a long-term study at the University of Florida, coordinated by Dr. Miller, to learn more about these mysterious invaders in an effort to manage their out-of-control and catastrophic spread.
Brendan, right here is good?
That's perfect.
Yep, strong signal.
Melissa, this technology, this has been like standard with wildlife research for many, many decades. But Brandon, there's more than just this classic time-tested technology. I mean, this is like a cyborg Burmese python. This is high-tech serpent. What else is going on?
So she's got an accelerometer in her right now, which tracks movement on a very fine scale. And the batteries on that are about to die, so we have to find her to get that out, get a new one in, and get all of that very important data.
Also, it's going to get some new technology that is totally novel for your study that you guys are doing.
Yeah, that's right. This will be the first snake that's going to get a GPS tag put in it, and that's going to fill in the gaps for what the snake's doing in between when we track her using the tried and true traditional VHF tags.
So first, we need to find that snake.
That's right.
And it's coming from somewhere over there. That's a strong, strong signal there, Melissa.
Yeah, it is very strong. So we're very close.
Is it coming from over here?
Yeah.
There she is. You got her, Melissa?
Melissa, do you got it?
Yep, got it.
Oh, let me go get a bag. Hold on.
Right.
Good job, Melissa. All right. All right, I got the bag.
All right.
All right, we'll go tail first.
Wow, this is a very big snake. Incredible that in the middle of this endless sweep of grass, we found this scaly needle in a haystack.
1, 2, 3.
Got it.
Yep. All right, lock is secure. What's next?
We're going to get her to Dr. Christopher Smith, the veterinarian. We're going to replace her accelerometer and give her a brand new GPS unit.
Awesome, let's do it.
Let's
Good job.
do it.
Coming up, we'll rush this massive snake to the veterinary clinic, where we'll be a part of pioneering science. Surgery on a nearly 12-foot-long Burmese python. Next on Wildlife Nation, Expedition Florida. We're back in South Florida, where we've just caught an invasive Burmese python, a snake that's part of an incredible invasive species research program coordinated by Dr. Melissa Miller at the University of Florida.
Okay, Brendan, right here, this work?
This works.
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good, nice to see you.
Good, guys. This is Chris Smith. He's a veterinarian at the Willoughby Veterinary Hospital. They treat all sorts of patients here, but they're a big part of this mission to save the Everglades from these invasive species.
Today, Dr. Smith will be updating this python's tracking implants.
Okay.
First, he needs a rough estimate of the python's weight so he knows how much initial sedative to administer.
29.2 kilos.
And then we'll need to get control of this huge snake.
So we can hear hissing in there. And she is not happy.
No, she's not.
Pythons, they're not venomous, but they are powerful and could be dangerous. And as I have learned, they can bite through bags sometimes.
There you can. There's her head right there.
Right there.
Yeah, if you can get a grip on it, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
You got a good grip on it?
I got a good grip.
All right. Just
Big,
work her out of the
powerful
bag.
snake. That's a big, big snake.
Get the injection in the front half of the animal.
Yep. All right, so that's both a combination of sedative, of anesthesia, and of a little pain management.
Pain medicine, yeah.
The python goes back into the bag
1, 2, 3.
and then into a sealed chamber where for over an hour she receives anesthesia and oxygen.
What's really neat is we can get the perspective of how awesome she is, how big she is. This, fortunately or unfortunately, is a very healthy snake, which means it's been eating a lot of,
Native animals.
yeah. Why is this long-term study so important, Brandon?
The hope is at the end of this long-term study is we can look at all the data that we've collected and get a better idea of how these snakes are using the environment. And then we can transition that into management of this invasive species to reduce some of those effects on our native species.
Snakes aren't the bad guy. They're just being pythons.
No.
They're just surviving in a brand new world of opportunity.
Yeah, I got into this work because I love reptiles, I love snakes, and they deserve our respect too.
Dr. Smith places a heart monitor on the snake and prepares to insert a breathing tube.
So this is cool to look inside the mouth of a python, which you rarely get to see. You can see the row of teeth.
They're also all pointed backwards so that if she grabs something, it's hard for it to pull out and remove.
And then it's go time for surgery.
So we've got the old accelerometer here. So with snake skin, unlike mammal skin, you don't want to just make long incision and cut through the scales. It takes them a longer time to heal that way. So I'm actually going in a zigzag pattern.
Around the scales.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Dr. Smith removes the old accelerometer and prepares a new one to put in its place.
You can tell the difference between a new sterile one and one that's been in the animal for 6 months. What I'm doing is I'm anchoring the suture around a rib.
Oh, wow. It anchors in place. That's pretty cool.
The antenna needs access to the sky to pick up to the satellites, so this will be hanging out.
Wow.
If we can get this orientation, but based off of your conversations with the engineers, this looks like it'll be pretty good?
Yeah.
As close to midline as possible?
Yeah.
Dr. Smith implants the GPS transmitter, and then the incision is closed.
That looks
That's
awesome.
cool. That looks great.
That looks awesome. Placement is amazing. Doesn't get much better than that. And now I'm just excited to see how it works.
We're gonna wake her up, and back to the Everglades she goes.
Coming up, a return to the wild for this python and the first ever test of her new state-of-the-art GPS implant.
That's incredible.
We're transporting a nearly 12-foot-long invasive Burmese python back into the Everglades. She has just undergone surgery to receive 2 new high-tech tracking implants. Wildlife biologist Brandon Welty and I have reunited with Dr. Melissa Miller, the lead researcher on this groundbreaking project, so she can oversee this serpent's release.
This is the spot, I think, where we
This is the
caught
spot
it right
Yeah,
here.
this is the spot where we caught her. Box her off.
All right.
2 bags.
Brandon, knowing the impact that these snakes have had on this ecosystem, is it kind of bittersweet to put her back?
It's counterintuitive, but the more we learn about the snakes, the better we can manage this invasive population. So this will actually be the first time we've tested this GPS unit in the field on one of our pythons.
I mean, that's pretty cool, Melissa. This is a totally new component to this very important project.
Right, because normally when we track, you only get a point when you go out and track, but this is going to be giving us points those in-between times when we're not out here, so it'll fill in those gaps in movement.
And it's connected. It's
Amazing.
working.
Good.
That's incredible. All right, what's next?
Let's get her out of the bag.
All right, let's do it. Brandon, she does not look worse for wear.
She is not. She looks very healthy.
The Everglades, along with a lot of wild Florida, while it gives us so much hope and there's a resiliency, it's under a lot of pressure. How important is it that we figure this problem out? What does it mean to the Everglades if we don't solve the problem of invasive pythons?
Well, all of our native wildlife are counting on us, and the world's watching, especially with this problem with Burmese pythons.
So the work that all of these folks are doing, this community coming together, it's all about ensuring that our children have a vibrant, beautiful Everglades to celebrate.
Coming up, we use man's best friend to locate invasive pythons.
Chateau is the solution to this incredible python problem.
Today, we're highlighting an extraordinary challenge for the Everglades ecosystem: invasive species, specifically the Burmese python. While scientists like Melissa Miller are trying novel approaches to this problem, the Miccosukee tribe has commissioned its own wildlife team to help combat these invaders, and they're using a very special weapon to do it.
This is the River of Grass. This is the backyard for the Miccosukee tribal community. When you look at it, Craig, it looks perfect, but we've got a major problem, don't we?
Yes, we do, Jeff. It might look beautiful, but we have an ecological catastrophe on our hands.
So we know that invasive species are crashing this ecosystem, and probably the top of that list would be pythons. This dog may be a solution. This is Chateau, and what makes Chateau specialized in finding pythons?
He's been initially trained to alert when he can smell a python and lead us to where they are. And these particular dogs have about 100,000 times better smell than we do.
100,000 times better than we do.
Yeah.
In less than 30 years, snakes have become the dominant predator in this ecosystem. 90% of all the furry creatures are gone. Deer, possum, raccoons,
Squirrels.
bobcats, squirrels.
Yeah, everything's gone.
Listen, it's quiet.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hard to say because I love snakes. I always have to
know.
remind myself that the snake did nothing wrong. It's just surviving.
It makes it difficult with the kind of job that we do as well, because we have that same mentality.
So perhaps Chateau is the solution to this incredible and devastating python problem. All right, how are we gonna do this?
So, Chateau, you ready to hunt? Let's go. Find
All
it.
right.
Find it. Come. Oh, black racer. Chateau, come.
Will he smell the racer or just the python?
Just the Burmese python.
That's incredible. So we just had a black racer fly on through, and he's not interested.
No, It's amazing. Of all the thousands of smells he can get, he's trained just to pick up that scent of the Burmese python.
Focused on the mission. All right, let's go find a python.
Come, Chateau. Find it.
So guys, come on in. Chateau has picked up something in here.
Come on, Chateau, find it.
So this vegetation is thick. I would say impenetrable. I'm gonna find a python. That's where you gotta go.
Hey, Jeff, we found something really interesting. Come and have a look at this.
Okay. Wow. Look at this. We found a big part of the problem, and it's right here. You can see this nest filled with dozens and dozens of python eggs. If you want a powerful example of how an invasive species outcompetes and takes over an ecosystem, look at this, because here is the next generation of the invader. It's almost like the plot thickening for a horror movie.
Oh, it is.
So how many eggs would have been laid here?
So looks like we got probably 60 to 70 eggs.
60 to 70 eggs. This is such a terrifying example of how unprecedented this environmental catastrophe is. The invasive species, these pythons, are taking over this environment. And Greg, there's nothing there to take on the challenge.
No, nothing. They're the apex predator in this environment. What is really important about this find as well is every year or 2 years, they'll use the same place to nest. There's some older eggs in there that we found from probably a previous nesting. And the female will actually wrap herself around the eggs and incubate them.
That's an interesting fact, Craig. The reptiles, right, you think pokylic, ectothermic. They're not generating a lot of body temperature. The exception, though, is a female snake with an egg clutch. These pythons will wrap around it. First of all, they're incredibly protective. You don't want to mess with the mom python and her eggs. But she'll create these almost like little shiver reflexive reactions that generate an electrical impulse, a heat energy, which assists with incubating that egg clutch. All right, let's go find a python.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Just a little further, and Chateau discovers a Burmese python camouflaged in the foliage.
Watch out, Chateau, get away, get away.
Good boy, good boy.
We are working with the Miccosukee tribe's conservation team focused on removing invasive species from the Everglades. We've been on a desperate search for Burmese pythons with a specially trained dog, Chateau.
Chateau, find it, find it.
He's just spotted one of these elusive serpents.
Watch out, Chateau, get away, get away.
Good boy, good boy.
Just like the old days. So this is what it's all about. We've got this Burmese python right here, a young one, and it's in defensive mode. Again, I always want to remind people, this is an environmental catastrophe in southern Florida. In Asia where it lives, it's a critical part of that ecosystem.
Absolutely.
With that said, as stewards working with our Miccosukee partners, we need to restore this habitat, and that means getting rid of these invasive snakes. And it is an incredible challenge. Now, right now, this snake is in what is known as its opaque cycle. It's getting ready to shed. So you see its eyes are blue, and eventually it will do ecdysis. It'll shed off this skin as it grows and renews itself. So it made it a little easier to catch. But this is just one of perhaps millions of pythons today overtaking this environment.
Yeah, nobody really knows how many there are, but there are hundreds of thousands to millions of snakes all through the Everglades. The small mammals have such an important part to play in the ecosystem, and the python has removed about 90% of the spur-bearing animals. They finish eating most of the mammals, they're turning to the wading bird colonies. And so they'll eat birds like wood-storks, ibis, cormorants.
So they're adapting.
They sure
They're
are.
moving the dial as a predator.
Yes.
Before we remove this python from the ecosystem, we need to get some biometric data. This valuable information will be critical to the Miccosukee as they manage this invasive predator. First, Craig takes a GPS coordinate from where we found the snake. Then Marcel and I carefully stretch it out for a measurement.
8 feet, 2 inches.
Wow, that's a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah.
Finally, Marcel determines its gender.
Marcel, why is it important that we know the gender of this snake? How does it contribute to the success of this project?
So the males and the females do behave slightly different, right? So we want to know where the males versus the females are and what their different levels of activity are, because we want to be able to pattern each of them to optimize our rate of capture. Really, if we catch females, that's going to have a much bigger impact on the overall ecosystem because they're the ones laying all the eggs, really leading this massive population boom.
Craig, today was mission success, but this is just one small step in this long conservation journey. What is the future prognosis for this ecosystem with this invasive species?
The prognosis is very dire for the ecosystem, but the more pythons we remove, the better it is for the small mammals. So one of our goals is to remove as many pythons as we can, but also to reintroduce some of the small fur-bearing mammals like raccoons, possums, squirrels.
Replace the animals that have been consumed by these snakes.
Yeah.
By doing that, this ecosystem is vibrant and intact, and equally important to fulfill the Miccosukee stewardship mission.
Absolutely.